And welcome to another episode of Big Apples Hockey's The Final Buzzer. I am your host, John Folkowski, for the night. And we are going to talk tonight about last night's game with Nashville. Couldn't do one last night because I was not home. And tonight's game against Arizona. And although they got a win tonight, you can't really be too happy with this performance overall. It's got to be concerning. They didn't play well last night either. I'll go briefly into last night. We'll focus a little more on tonight, but last night too many passes, too many chances passed up, and just not enough of an effort. And I don't understand what's going on with this team, but you got to be better than that. You got to be better than what they're doing, what they're giving right now. I'm not happy with it. They could have won that game, but you still, I'm not liking what Gallant's hearing because Gallant's saying they played well enough to win. Okay. I don't think that if they played better teams these two nights, these games would have been particularly close in either game. I really don't. And Nashville hasn't been playing well at all. To give Nashville points, you've got to be better than what they've given going forward. You're going to start playing some real tough teams real soon, and we're going to see what this team is really made of if they don't start playing better sooner than later. So, Saros did play well. I'll give UC Saros his due. He's good, and he played very well. He showed why he was, for a while last year, looked like he was going to be he was one of the Vezina front runners, I should say. But there are just too many chances passed up. The efforts aren't good enough. You've got to be better than this. And it just seemed like this was another game where Gerard Gallant looked like he almost lost this team. And I don't know where they're getting these efforts from, but just those quick strikes where they go for multiple goals is now becoming a thing. And the fact that they're scoring a 5-on-5, great. But Arizona had 31 shots on net, and Igor was really good. Igor should have had a shutout, but he definitely looked hurt on that play. So, but I'll go more into tonight's game. I don't want to harp too much on Nashville, but the Rangers, they bend in the first half, they break out in the second. So I'm going to sort of go into bad mode here, but I know that they're on the second of a back-to-back, and I know they've played a lot lately, but the effort just did not look there at all. Arizona was the faster team. Arizona also played New Jersey last night. So there's no excuse here for this team, and they just did not come out with the effort that they should have came out with. One thing I didn't put in my banners because I should have. I don't know why I didn't, but I should have. But their penalty kill was really, really good tonight. Arizona was a top 3, and for most of the season so far, they've been the number 1 team in the league on the power play, and Arizona just kind of they just did not get anything. I'm going to star some of these comments I'm seeing already. I like some of these comments, and I'm going to get to them later. So, hello, everybody, by the way, that said hi in the chat. Don't want to go over everybody, but, just wanted to say hello there because don't want to think I'm ignoring you guys and girls. But, yeah, they need to be better in their own zone. They need to get to pucks. They need to start winning loose puck battles and 50-50 races and getting on top of the play. And that was something that they were good at towards the end of last season. And it seems like it's just not there for whatever reason this year. And as Mike always says, like, share, and subscribe. If you can, that would be great. We really appreciate it here. So, like our videos, as the banner says. So, smash the like. You can do that. Any way you want to do it, really. But just remember, like, share, subscribe, turn on notifications as well. So this way you know when we're going live. But you need more from this team. I'm not comfortable with this leadership group because it seems like this group has trouble getting up for games. It really does. And they have a big problem with playing down to their competition, which they also had last year. And that seems to be an issue with this team now for a few years, I should say. So for me, I have to look at this group and I have to say to myself, if this is a common theme going across several seasons, it's not the coach, because it's happened with two different coaches now, both Quinn and Gallant. So something is not right with this group. It's not. They don't get up for games, and that's not a good thing. It's really not. It's funny that you say this, Brody, because it's something that I actually mentioned later on in my my breakdown. But they bend in the first half. They come out in the second half. Second half of the second period was good, and the third period was good. But they need to stop getting into the point where these games where this slow starts. It continues to happen. And you have Adam Fox playing like Adam Norris Fox again. He had a great game tonight. He really did. I can't count the number of times that Sam and Joe said the words "good play, Adam Fox," or "good play by Adam Fox." You know, that's big. That's big. For me, he needs to be that way. He needs to start playing that branded two-way hockey that we saw in his first 2.5 seasons. And you know what? You gotta. I get it. He's an offensive guy, and we love that part about Adam Fox. But at the same time, you cannot neglect defense, especially with the way that this team has been playing overall lately. The structure just has not been there defensively. Adam Fox has got to step up. He's got to lead by example. He's got to lead by example. So I really don't know what it is with him, or this year and the second half of last year. I don't know what it is with the mental lapses, but there are a couple of games, like even the Detroit game and tonight, you know, he played more like the Norris winner that we knew from last year and then before. So not last year, but the season before, and then the first half of last year, I should say. But you guys are coming on with some great comments here tonight. I've already started, I think, 4 comments I've already starred, because I want to address those during Q&A time. Keep them coming. Braden Schneider, I thought, rebounded. I thought he had a real good game. I think that, especially with the last, I would say 5 or so games, maybe even more than that, where he just has not looked good. It looked like he was going through a sophomore slump. But Braden Schneider looked really, really good. So I'm happy to see that. You know, everybody knows I'm a big fan of Braden Schneider, but again, he's got to be better. You need more from Braden Schneider, and tonight was a good night for him. I know it's against a lesser Arizona team, but again, we need Braden Schneider to be Braden Schneider. There was a time I think in the third period, it was either the second or third, I can't remember it now, but he knocked Nick Bukestad right on his ass. And I couldn't believe it, because Nick Bukestad is like 6'6", 230, and Braden Schneider, that is some upper body strength to send a guy flying like that. It was right in like I think it was at the edge of the defensive zone. It was somewhere around there, and he just knocked him straight down. I posted about it on Twitter. It's like, wow, just totally floored that he has that type of strength. So, yeah, definitely another comment coming in that I really like. Star that one. And then I said this before when I talked about Brody's post, but Igor was more like the Igor of last year. This is the Igor Shesterkin they need. 31 shots, 31 saves on 32 shots. You gotta be better for Igor. I mean, I would imagine he would probably even say that he needs to be better than when he's been this year. So, yeah, this Jeffrey is just I forgot where I got this. I don't remember where I got this actually. I think I might have gotten it at the NHL store. But the hat I know I got for sure at the NHL store. I got this for $10. It was on clearance, so I was like, yeah, I'm taking this. It was actually I think the preseason game that I went to last season against the Islanders with Mark and a bunch of others. So, yeah, Igor is he's playing well. He's playing well in these few games. Yeah, Halak let up a bad goal last night. The goal to Parson really wasn't a good goal, but um, Igor has been better lately. So I don't know. I don't know what Igor's issue has been, but I could tell you right now, Igor knows that he has not been himself. But these last few games, he's looked better. So hopefully, this is the start of things to come. I mean, he could still get back into the Vezina conversation, very, very quickly. He's one of the league leaders in wins, which, I mean, I know that's not the best stat to look at, but I mean, it does get you some Norris consideration and sometimes even the win, depending on how many wins you have. So, I mean, 40 wins from Igor might have to be the case. So, moving on from Igor and Goodrow being opportunistic, off the Arizona error. That's always a good thing. I thought that he was really good tonight, but I mean, he was just in the right spot at the right time for that. And it's kind of sad that it took that to break the spell. And you need guys like Goodrow to give you some sort of offense. And I know that's not somebody who you would expect from. And I know he's not signed for that per se. He's signed for leadership. He's signed for his defense. He's signed for his grit. He's signed for his experience, penalty killing, so on. But we need something like this from him, because if he's not going to do it, they don't have a lot of offense in that bottom six right now. And although the kid line's been good since reunited, I don't think they were necessarily great tonight, but they were good. But this team needs more balance, and you can't be getting all of your scoring from your top two lines on a power play. You're not going to win games like that. So, but hopefully this team starts taking more shots, and it was good that Goodrow just took the shot right away. And even if Ingram makes a save there, you know what? You're in Ingram's head. Oh, hey, you know what? I made a mistake. I bailed myself out, but I made a big mistake. Maybe he gets a little nervous, and then he lets up a goal a few minutes later if they don't score on that one. So good on Goodrow to get that in the net. He's got a couple of goals lately, and he's been seizing his opportunities. So good for him. But I'm going to move on from Goodrow. Another great third period. We saw this in Detroit. I think they played better in the third period against Nashville. It seems like the third period is becoming their period again, which is a good thing, because if you're down in the third, then you can come back and get the win. Hey, John. Yeah, you can win and lose games in the third. And if you don't show up in the third, you're not going to win games. And they weren't showing up in the third. They didn't show up in the third against the Islanders, and they didn't show up in the third against a lot of the teams this year. So good for them to be able to put together another really good third period. And Arizona scored a goal to get back into it, to make it a 2-goal game with Keller. And they went back and regained a 3-goal lead after that and shut it down. So that's what they needed. They need to continue to build off these third periods. And I don't get why they're not doing it and they're coming out flat in the next game. Like, I don't understand it. It's every game they're coming out flat. So they need to change that. They need to change that big time. Looks like Seattle might be about to beat Winnipeg, by the way, which is crazy. I can't believe Seattle having the start that they're having. But yeah, you need to come out better at the start of games. But you would figure that a third period would carry over. A great third period like tonight, or the one against Detroit, obviously. Not saying 6 goals. 6 goals is just not realistic in a period. 6 goals isn't realistic in most games. Like, it's definitely plausible, doable, but I'm gonna address this right now. I'm gonna stop this because I just think it's Not a good idea. All right. So one of my mutuals on Twitter is a dentist, and he was talking about it. And basically, he was saying that you're supposed to be sedated and you're not really supposed to be doing physical activity like this for 2 days in regards to that, depending on what type of infection it was. So I wouldn't go calling him soft because I don't think any of us are really qualified to talk about this type of thing. I'm just going to say that right now. Whether you agree or not, hey, do your thing. But one of my mutuals is somebody I've met in person, and he's a dentist, and he's a pretty good one. And he basically told me that, like, yeah, you shouldn't be doing that. So I'll take his word for it. But I'll get away from that because I don't want to go too much into that because I know where that conversation can lead to. Power play, better looks, converts. Kreider with a great deflection there. I'm happy to see Chris Kreider get the deflection. Hopefully these start coming more and more for Chris Kreider, because I will say that the puck luck just hasn't been there for him. He's had some great deflections that have been saved by goalies, and he's had a couple of others in which he's just missed. So it's good that he's getting there. I just want to see more of a complete effort all around from him. But when he's going, that power play goes. And they need to be able to Winnipeg tied it. Wow. 5 seconds left in the game. They just tied it. So, yeah, you need Chris Kreider to be Chris Kreider. But it's just, you can't have to, I mean, you have to switch things up, because what they were doing is very, very repetitive. They were forcing one-timers to Mika, which you can't do because then that becomes predictable and teams can cheat over to him the same way they cheat over to Ovechkin. And then you have guys like, Panarin who need to stop passing and shooting more. And then one of the biggest things I'm noticing with Panarin is that he's very hesitant to shoot the puck. And then on top of that, when he does shoot, he's shooting and it's getting blocked. And I think that's because he's just thinking too much in his head about shooting and everything. He should just pull the trigger and just let it go. He's got one of the 3 best shots on the team. He needs to just shoot and let it go. Another thing that that I saw tonight was Mika Zibanejad, instead of, just loading up on the one-timer, going with the one-timer, he was going for slap passes. So I really like that, and that's how Kreider got that goal. But yeah, I would definitely continue to do what they were doing. They were less stationary tonight, which is another thing I said on Twitter that they needed to fix. Adam Fox still needs to shoot the puck more. And he's got a decent shot. It's not a great shot. He's not going to beat you clean with it. He's not going to scare anybody with his shot. But he can get it on net and he can shoot through screens. He's got to do that more often, and it gives the power play another added dimension. And that's the thing. Look at 2 of the better power plays in the entire league in Washington and Tampa Bay. And what do they have? They have Stamkos and Ovechkin on the left side boards with their right side offhand one-timers. You have Kucherov on the other side with the left-handed offside one-timer on the right side boards. You have Hedman and Carlson at the points for Tampa and Washington, respectively. Tampa has Point in the bumper, and Washington has Oshie in the bumper. And then you have Kuznetsov flying around, who can also shoot from the right side boards if he needs to, but he's also a passer. And then you have Backstrom in Washington as well, who can really pass and sometimes give you an occasional shot. But you need to change things up. And I think the Rangers should really look to model that power play after those 2 teams to a point. So, Kreider's been unlucky this year. I'll give him that. But I do feel like he needs to be a little more in front of the net sometimes than he needs to be off to the side. I like the off to the side, but he's gotta sometimes get a little bit more to the front. So another thing I think you got to make a change. You got to put Lafreniere on there. Lafreniere's got to be on the power play. I think it's time. I think, you want a guy like that to be one of your franchise players. Start treating him like one. Start giving him the responsibilities that you would expect out of a guy that you want to be, grooming to be your franchise player. So I liked what they did on that power play, and again, the cross seam passes, great, but you can't continue to force them the way that they have in previous games. And even at certain points tonight, and Winnipeg just won. Wow, 3-2. Looks like Mark Scheifele got it. I would agree with this. Trocheck definitely needs to be moved to power play 2. I like Vinny Trocheck, but you need to get him on power play 2. You need to move Jacob Trouba off power play 2 and get Keandre Miller on there, because Jacob Trouba is not good enough to walk the line. And Keandre Miller is, I think he's better at getting a shot on net. Trouba's got a harder shot, no doubt, but Jacob Trouba needs to be off power play 2. So, but I'll move on to the power play. I don't want to talk about it all night, and that will wrap up the good.
That's good.
And we'll go on to the bad. So I'm going to just go straight to. All right, so this is the bad, actually. So Trouba has to be better or sit if he's hurt, because this is just not good enough. It's not good enough. And I would say this is borderline ugly, because he's just been horrendous. But something's got to change with this guy. Something. I'm gonna go back to some comments here. This one from Jeffrey. Even though Trouba wears the C, Mika is the real leader of this team. And then this one from Matt. Trouba's not a captain. He has no mentality whatsoever. The moment he feels any kind of pressure, he folds, and you could see his deficiencies. And I'm with the both of you on this. I think I see Mika Zibanejad pulling players aside. And I remember last year, I don't know, I don't remember who they were facing, but Filipino made a big mistake. And Mika Zibanejad pulled he got pulled aside or he pulled Filipino aside, and he went and basically kind of gave him the riot act a little bit, and basically let him know that, hey, you know what, this is what you have to do, but you got to be better. So I think of Mika Zibanejad as more of a leader than Jacob Trouba. I know that the guys in the locker room are going to say this and that to whatever, to the reporters, the public, the fans, whatever. They're not going to throw Jacob Trouba under the bus. But Jacob Trouba reminds me of an even worse situation than what Brian Leetch was as captain, because Brian Leetch clearly did not play like himself as captain. When Mark Messier came back and took the C off him, Leetch had the best year he had since 1997, since Messier left in 2001. And to me, Jacob Trouba reminds me of that. It also reminds me of when Kenny Janssen took the captaincy as the Islanders, and he actually gave it up in the late 90s because he didn't want to be the captain in the late 90s, early 2000s. He wasn't playing well as captain, and he gave it up. And you know what? Good on him for doing so, because you know what? Some guys aren't meant to play with it. And Jacob Trouba does not look like he's meant to play as a captain. But if he's hurt, he's got to sit. It's November. Sit. Surprisingly, Libor Hayek didn't even play all that bad. Again. So, I mean, Libor Hayek was better than Jacob Trouba tonight. What is that telling you? This was mentioned before by quite a few of you guys and girls in here. Too many undisciplined penalties. It has to stop. It has to. The one by Carpenter was stupid. Trouba with the one on Michelli, stupid. The Trocheck when he hit the guy right after the play ended, stupid. You cannot continue to do this. It's too much. It's too much. They put the team back on the penalty kill and put the players in a very bad position by doing so. You can't do it. You just can't. They were starting to get momentum at that point, and then Trocheck put them right back on the penalty kill. and you can't do that. So when you build up any type of momentum in a game, you have to continue it. You have to build on that. And like I was talking about building on, the third period wins, the great third periods, and then the wins, and then going into the next game and starting off well. You got to build on that. It's the same situation on a shift to shift basis. You've got to build on these things, and they just have not built on them. I mean, okay. So the Mika Zibanejad call was horseshit. That was the one where I would say that was horseshit. If you want to say the Trouba one on Michelli was, I'll entertain it. But at the same time, what are you doing? The puck is not there. Why are you hitting him in the head? What are you doing? So maybe, but again, don't put yourself in a position by doing something stupid so that the ref can make a call like that. That's the biggest problem I have with this team. So you're another reason, aside from the efforts, another thing that they're doing is they're just putting themselves in a position where they have to take these penalties, whether it's by playing out of position, they're getting a little too amped up in the play, a little too jacked up, and then they're going and taking shots at players or whatever it is. I don't know why it's happening, but they have to sort this out amongst themselves and stop taking these penalties. Not enough drive. Great third period, but where was that for the other? I'd say they played a great 25 minutes, the last 25 minutes of the game. Maybe if you want to push 30, okay. But not enough drive, especially in that first half. And this kind of ties into it, so I'll just go right to it. But another game without a full 60-minute effort. You're not going to win games in the NHL like this. You're not. It's not going to happen. You can't do it. You got to be better than this for 60 minutes. And they've played 2 60-minute efforts all year, Tampa and Philly. And again, until we start seeing more consistent efforts that are closer to 60 minutes, I'm really not sold on this team. I'm not, because there's a long way to go. So, yeah, Igor played all 60. The rest of the team played about 25 minutes. Yeah, I would say this is very accurate. I mean, you're right, Mike. We don't have leadership on this team. Can you imagine Messier, taking starts like, no, Messier would have reamed somebody out. He would have reamed somebody out. I think what this team needs is a Brian Daboll-like moment. If any of you watched the Giants game today, if you're all Giants fans or not, Brian Daboll absolutely reamed out Jack Anderson after he took a false start penalty on a play that he basically drew up on a 4th down, a 4th and short against Houston. And he reamed him out. Then he reamed out the rest of the offensive line for not being set for it as well. I think Gerard Gallant's got to do the same. I'm sorry. It's got to happen. Because and if it's not going to happen from Gerard Gallant, but it's got to happen from the players. It's got to come from within. And I don't know if it'll ever come from within, because I don't trust this group. I don't trust this group anymore. I don't see leadership from this group. And until they start putting things together and they really start playing some consistent hockey and look like they're holding each other accountable and playing from playing from the first minute to the last, I don't really trust this team. I don't. So this needs to be put together. And this happened. Keenan told Leach that no, he didn't tell Leach that he was going to trade him for Chelios. He put it in the paper. Yeah, he had Larry Brooks write a piece about how Chris Chelios was going to get traded for Brian Leach, and Chelios called Leach and said, "Hey, did you hear that we're going to get traded for each other?" Yeah, Keenan would have absolutely ripped Trouba a new one. And you know what? This team needs it. This group needs it. And that's why I continue to say that they need a disciplinarian. I don't think that this team has what it takes internally. I don't. I think that they need a coach like that will get on them. And you know what? As much as people want to say, "Oh, well, Trotz will stifle Panarin, will stifle Zibanejad, he'll do this and that." Okay, that's fine. But at the same time, do you think that group is going to be able to win with a coach like Gallant, who's a player's coach, who isn't going to really hold them as accountable as nearly as much as someone like Trotz would? My only concern with Trotz would just be with Lafreniere, Kako, and Hedel. That would be it. That would really be it. I'm going through your comments. We're really in a Q&A point this time. The top line desperately needs another winger from Michael Bergen. Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. This team has been devoid of right-wing production for 2 seasons now, ever since Buchnevich left. So, yeah, you need right-wing production. It's the same issue with last year. Having trouble getting goals from the bottom 6, having trouble scoring a 5-on-5, and not having any production from the right wings. Same exact situation as last year. I like this one from Jeff. Hate to label any game before Thanksgiving a must win, but this was huge 2 points. Totally agree. Totally agree. I mean, there's really no argument to it. You had to win this game, especially after losing last night. I think if they would have lost this game and they would have lost it in an embarrassing fashion, you would have seen discussions about Gallant being on the hot seat. I really do think you would have seen it. Maddie, one thing he noticed tonight was that we never really had sustained offensive zone pressure. Yeah, in the first half, no. And this was the same thing from last season too. If you remember last year, I actually pointed out that they had trouble developing sustained offensive zone pressure. They weren't developing a lot of high danger chances at offense, and they were just getting offense off of quick strikes. So good that somebody else is noticing this, but it's the same problem that they had last year. Another one of the same problems. JT, welcome to the show. I don't think I've seen you on here before. I said this before earlier on Twitter. Funny enough, I actually quote tweeted one of the Vancouver beat writers that mentioned that Kuzmenko was benched. I would absolutely take Kuzmenko in a heartbeat. So I'd imagine that Drury has to be looking for a forward upgrade. And I would send a prospect to Vancouver for Kuzmenko. And Kuzmenko's played well for them. I don't understand why they're benching him. Why not send a message to JT Miller, who's been asked for them? I really don't understand that. So, but we're back on the I got rid of all the starred comments that I had from you guys and girls. So definitely feel free. Hey, Nick, what's going on? I would love to see 24 and 13 on the wings for Zibanejad and move Kreider. Yeah, me too. Me too. And the scary part is that Kreider he just doesn't seem to get the message. How are you playing out there and not just completely angry that your coach demoted you to the third line? After a year in which you scored 52 goals, I would be flying around the ice like I was on like PCP or something if that happened. Are you kidding me? Especially with Kreider's speed. He has no reason to be gliding out there at all. And yeah, and I'm with you on this too, Brody. The nice, comfy contracts. Don't have to worry about their poor play and being held disaccountable. That's a long time or accountable. And being held or disciplined and being, I'm screwing up my words here. I can't even talk. I feel like Mark right now. But, there's no accountability for these guys. Kreider, Trouba. I mean, even Panarin last year in the playoffs. What happened with that? He was never held accountable. Panarin defensively has just not been good. And you know that Panarin can actually play some sort of defense. Like, that's like, I'm not saying that he's like Pavel Datsyuk, but like, Jesus Christ, like, give us some sort of effort defensively. It's too much. It's too much. So we'll get rid of that. But keep him in, keep him coming. Maybe we'll go like another 15 minutes or so. Because it's starting to get a little late. I do have to unwind a little bit before I try to go to sleep. John asks a real good question. How long will it be to shake things up? I mean, it depends. Do the wins keep coming? Are the wins convincing wins? Or are they holding on to these wins by the skin of their teeth? That's really what it comes down to, is those two factors. Do the wins come, and how do they look in these games? And I don't know if I really have an answer for any of that right now, but they have to be a hell of a lot better than they've been in these games, in some of these games, especially tonight with the first half of this game. It just was not good. I mean, they're showing that deflection again right now in the NHL Network. And Chris Kreider's definitely laughing because I don't think he meant that, but I mean, it worked out. Definitely worked out there. The pass was just, oh yeah, definitely. I think that went off. Did it go off his skate? I want to see where it goes off. Oh no, goes off his knee. Yeah. So, but you know what? Right place, right time. So, just picturing Keenan is making me laugh. They'd all be in the press box. Yeah. Keenan would not take this garbage from anybody. I mean, he benched Leach against Anaheim in that Terry Yake hat trick game. Oh, man, he did not care for Brian Leach at that point. Needed Leach to be better, and he pushed the right button there. What are we shaking up? We are locked into long-term contracts with no. Yeah, well, two of the guys that need to really be better are the ones that you're talking about, Mike. Kreider and Trouba. Both need to be better. Who would your forward be on the top line that you trade for? I don't know if a number one right winger is available, from a first line right winger is available. I don't know. I really don't know. I like the idea of Andrei Kuzmenko. If he's not happy in Vancouver and Vancouver ain't going to do anything with him, Drury should be on the phone with them then, because he's got only a $950K cap hit, and that's someone you can afford to bring in at this moment that can help out your woes at 5-on-5. And you could stick him on a few different lines. You could stick him on either of the two top six lines, and I think he'd fit. Nick brings up a good point here. I'm with you on this. And I think they should get more minutes a night, because I think that could help send a message to the other two lines, the top two lines, because those two lines both need to be better. They need to be better. And if the kids are going to get time, then that sends a message to them saying, hey, you know what? These kids are taking away some of our time. We got to be better. If they're leaders, that's how they're going to think of it and respond. And if they're not, then you're going to see how weak they really are. So I want more from this team. And I don't think these efforts have been good enough, but the kids come out and play solid every game. So the Adam Fox goal was really nice. That was a really, really nice goal. Yeah, the 5-on-5 has just not been good. Their 3 of the 4 goals came at 5-on-5 again tonight, but it's got to be better. It's got to be better. Kreider has 7 goals now. I think he's on pace for about 33 goals, if I'm correct. I would have to look that up, but I think he's on pace for about 33. Yeah, so I'm actually just trying to pull that up right now and see. So Kreider has, 7 goals in 17 games. So let's see. 7 divided into 17. 34. 34 goals. So while that's good, Chris Kreider can be better. The one thing that I'll say in a positive light about that is the fact that he just hasn't had the puck luck yet, and his efforts haven't been good. So, what are we going to get from him if the puck luck starts going in his favor and his efforts are better? Sorry, just had a text coming in. But yeah, I just we need more from Chris Kreider. He's got to be better. And I like this comment right here from Matt. The best coaches are the ones who hold everyone to the same standard and don't bend over. Yeah, you got to listen. Hockey and any team sport has got to be a meritocracy. You've got to hold everybody accountable across the board. It doesn't matter the contract, the player, whatever. I know that there's some situations where kid gloves need to be applied with certain players, but you got to distinguish things. And if you do that too much, then those veterans they get too comfortable, and then you can't hold them accountable after a while because then they get pissed off at it and then they want out. So, but you know what? Anybody like that, you don't want them. You don't want players like that a part of your culture. That was the Rangers of the early 2000s with that country club mentality. Yeah, I'm with you on this, Mike. What Turk said and what Turk is doing are two completely different things, and I'm not liking that. I'm not liking it at all, because to me that tells me that the coach either doesn't have a grasp on the team in the right way, or that the leadership group is not good enough, or both. And if both is the case, this team's going to have a lot of problems. I think a change needs to be made. I think getting a top six forward in would absolutely help this team big time, and it might alleviate some of the problems. But these slow starts and the way that they get down on themselves and give up in games this year, that's not a oh well we just can't score 5-on-5. That's got to come from within. That's here. That's not having the heart and not having the will. And if you don't have that will to try to come back and win these games the way that they did last year, then you know what? That's a big problem. That is a big problem as well. So I need to see more of that. I think that's one of the biggest things that this team has to work on right now is just the drive to win games that they're down in. Like the Islanders are coming back left and right in the third period. Well, the Rangers did that last year. Why not now? The team is almost the same team. And I don't want to hear anything about Vetrano or Kopp or Mott. Yeah, those guys helped towards the end of the year. But what about all the other efforts, during the year? What about those efforts when they weren't there? So something's got to change here. Something's really, really got to change. Yeah, that no, I don't like using that no quit in New York hashtag because they just haven't had that no quit mentality. Herrick was the same guy who put Kreider down to the third line against Detroit, then put him out first in the OT. Yeah, and Kako should have been out there in OT against Detroit. There's no reason why Chris Kreider should have been out there. Doesn't matter how fast you skate if you're not skating. That was terrible. And Vancouver, again, lost to Boston tonight. So Boston won 5-2. Boston just seems to just continue to win and win and win. So times are real nice in Boston right now. Oh, who is that got railed? Was that Pasternak? Oh, yeah. Oh. And then whoever comes over and tries to fight. Who is that's on there? Oh, Burrows. Okay. Not Alex Burrows, because Alex Burrows has not been in the NHL for a while. I think that's Kyle Burrows. But here's JT Miller. Oh, yeah. That's a nice goal. That's a really, really nice goal. The pass from Quinn Hughes there, though. That's brilliant. But I just some of Turk's coaching decisions this year have been really boneheaded. Really, really boneheaded. I don't understand what he's doing with some of these decisions. So But I mean, Vancouver could be a team that we're looking at real soon. Oh, Podkolzin fighting! Oh my God, Podkolzin fighting AJ Greer. That's not a fight you want to see if you're a Vancouver fan. I mean, you're happy that he stood up for himself, but you don't want to see one of your best young players trying to fight. Oh, that's a nice deflection. I think that's Bergeron. But Demko getting lit up, man. Tyler Myers is just bad. No reason for him to be even playing in the NHL. He's horrible. Oh my God, how did that not go in? Nope, that's on the line. That never went in. Wow. But maybe we're looking at Vancouver selling off. Vancouver could sell off a player. San Jose. I wonder if the Rangers would try to get somebody like Timo Meier. I know that he's probably going to cost a lot, and I don't think he could stay with the Rangers beyond this year. But because his contract just going to be way too much. I think he's going to cost too much for them. I mean, Patrick Kane is the obvious one that I think the Rangers are going to look into because he's a UFA to be, and he doesn't cost. I think Chicago would retain 50% to make that happen, but the Rangers might have to have a third team involved to make that work. There could be some other teams available. I mean, we're looking at the standings right now. I would say, let's see here, who else is available or what other teams are down in the standings. Columbus, Zach Werenski's out, so they could be selling off sooner than later. Maybe Ottawa sells off one of their pieces. I mean, they're not going to sell Giroux or I don't think even DeBrincat, but maybe Buffalo sells off one of their forwards. Maybe you could get a Zemgus Girgensons from Buffalo. I think Pittsburgh is going to make their way back up the standings. I think Montreal is going to fall off a bit. So maybe Montreal sells one of their other players. Anaheim, maybe they sell a forward. St. Louis, I think they're going to rebound. I really think they're going to get it together. I would be shocked if St. Louis doesn't get it together, but I'd imagine because Doug Armstrong just came out and said that Craig Berube has a very, very long leash. So they're not getting rid of him. So that's on the players. The players got to get that done. But I wonder when they start to sell. I really do. San Jose, we obviously talked about them. I wonder if Nashville would sell. If they don't start making their way up the standings real soon, I wonder if they would sell. So Dallas doesn't look like they're selling. Dallas looks like they're trying to compete for the Central. I imagine they are just because I think they have the talent to do it. Surprised that without Klingberg that their defense is playing as well as they are. But Nils looks all right there. Heiskanen looks good. I mean, they've got guys. They've got firepower, Dallas. They really do. And Jake Ottinger being out, it's an odd one because you thought that with Jake Ottinger out, they would start to suffer a bit, but they've been getting the goaltending that they needed. And the team is helping the goaltending out big time. So, and I really don't think the Capitals sell. I really don't think they sell Brony. I think that's going to be the last thing that they try to do is unless they're so far out of it, I don't think they sell. And I don't know what they would sell. I mean, looking at their team, I really don't know. Maybe Lars Eller. I think Lars Eller would actually really, really help the Rangers. I think that's somebody that could come in and be like a good, really good bottom six forward. Like you're looking at someone like that, maybe Garnet Hathaway. That's another one that you can look at for like a bottom six role. I think he would really help. Anthony Mantha's not going anywhere. I think TJ Oshie is a free agent at the end of the year. No, he's not. He's got 3 years remaining on his deal. Holy crap. I mean, they're not going to sell off Tom Wilson. Dmitry Orlov is an unrestricted free agent at the end of the year. That's a good one. Uh, Backstrom's not going to go anywhere. Carl Hagelin would be an interesting one, just because he's familiar with New York. He's got some speed. He can help on the bottom lines. They really need that type of speed. Carl Hagelin could be for them for what like Tyler Mott was last year, play that type of role. I think he could really help with that. I don't think he's the same player and he's nearly as fast as he once was, but he's still got speed. He could still help kill penalties. He's still decent defensively. I mean, he was a fan favorite in New York, so I think that, a lot of people would welcome him back with open arms. But I doubt the Capitals would trade with the Rangers, especially too. But you never know. I mean, the Rangers and Devils pulled off the Grabner trade back in 2018. That trade really didn't seem to help either team, but that stranger things have happened. So, does Florida stay in it? I'd imagine Florida's probably going to stay in it, but who knows? So, Philadelphia, I think they're going to start to fall off, but I really wonder what they have to sell. I mean, the Rangers are not going to take on Kevin Hayes. He's got a big contract. I think that would be a big mistake to try to go and get like somebody like Kevin Hayes. I don't think he's going anywhere. Brody, I do think Drury is looking for something. Hey, Guntone Granny, I see you in there. But I think Chris Drury is definitely looking for something. It's just a matter of what comes up. I mean, looking at Philadelphia's roster, you're not gonna get rid of Farabee. Scott Lawton's got 4 years left, or 3 years after this at $3 million. Nick Delorier would be someone that could maybe help on a fourth line. I don't think they would do anything with him. Maybe a Zach McEwen or Lucas Sedlak would actually be a nice little fit for the Rangers. He does a lot of small things that the Rangers would need help with. He plays all three positions. Not going to get you a ton of points, but Lucas Sedlak would actually be a good one. Osberg, I would love to see Matt Zuccarello back. I was just thinking about this the other day and how much of a fit he would be with Kreider and Zuccarello, but with Kreider and Zibanejad rather, but they can't make that happen. They can't make that happen. Hey, Sean. I don't know where you saw this, Mike, but he hasn't said anything about that as far as I know. I just think that the Rangers don't have the space for a $6 million player. They don't. It just not one long term. If they can get a rental, sure, but definitely not long term like Zuccarello. Zuccarello has, I think, 4 years after this. Oh no, he has 4 total remaining, so he has 3 years after this. Sorry. Yeah. No, actually, he only has 1 year after this. I'm sorry. I was reading Kaprizov's contract. Sorry. He has 1 year after this. If they retain 50%, yeah, but I don't think that Minnesota would want to even do that, considering. Yeah, I just. I don't know. I don't see it. I move for 2 first round picks for Zuccarello 50. No way. That is a no for me. That's a no for me. If I'm gonna, yeah, I don't like that deal at all. I think that's a bad deal. Bad deal. But I would think about it for first round pick and a prospect. But I don't see. All right. So here's the thing with this. Minnesota in these next couple of years is going to have a lot of trouble with cap, and I don't think they would want to take on 50% of Zuccarello's contract and still have $3 million dead on the books for a player that's not there next year. I know it's only 1 year, and they would save $3 million against the cap, but they're going to have in dead cap next year. They're going to have these next 2 years. They're going to have almost $15 million in dead cap between Parise and Suter's buyouts. That's bad. That is really, really bad. So that's a lot of money tied up. After this year, they have Matt Dumba that comes off the books, so they save $6 million there. Tyson Jost becomes a restricted free agent. Freddie Gaudreau will become an unrestricted free agent, and he's going to be somebody that's going to get a lot of consideration. He's going to get a big raise from that $1.2 million he's making. I'll tell you that right now. Then their other restricted free agents are Matt Boldy, who's going to get a big raise, Sam Steele, who's probably not going to get a big raise, and then you have Joseph Cramarosa. Nah, he's not probably going to get a whole lot of money, but Kalen Addison is probably going to get a big raise as a restricted free agent. So a whole McDavid? No, it's more than McDavid. McDavid's making $12.5 million against the cap for Edmonton. This is almost $15 million against the cap. So while they would save $3 million, I doubt they want $3 more million of dead space for a player that they can afford to hold on to for a year. But it also depends on how they're doing. It depends on how they're doing. Are they bad? If they're a bad team, then okay. Then you know what? Maybe they consider it depending on the return. But I don't see this team being bad enough to the point where they're going to get rid of them. Right now, they're in the second wild card position, 1 point ahead of Chicago, but they've got 1 game in hand. 2 points ahead of Calgary, a game in hand on Calgary. And they're 3 points ahead of Arizona, and Arizona has played the same amount of games, 15. Same for Nashville. But you know what? Like I said, a lot of these things can change. I think the teams that are out of the playoff picture right now, I think Calgary is going to be back in it. I think Nashville is probably going to start to play a little better. I think St. Louis is going to rebound as well. I think those are 3 teams that are probably going to push for playoff spots and push teams like Seattle and maybe even Minnesota out of it. LA doesn't seem to be going anywhere. They seem to be playing well. So, but yeah, I think that Minnesota's kind of stay sort of as a bubble team. But I'm going to wrap it up for tonight. Thank you all for joining me here. I appreciate you guys all being on. And, just remember, oh, by the way, I actually forgot to put this up before, but absolutely, we are actually sponsored by Manscaped. So use code BAH at the checkout for 20% off and free shipping. Manscaped is one of our sponsors. I always have their stuff. Like I said, I usually bring it out. I'm not going to go grab it right now, but I have their trimmer, the lawnmower. I have the 2.0. I think they're on the 4.0 right now, but I've had it for a while. Love their stuff. Love their toner. Love their they actually came out with cologne, and they actually just came out with a loofah. Actually a substitute for a loofah, I should say. So definitely use their stuff. It's great. It smells great. It's effective. I regularly have to trim myself, so I definitely enjoy their stuff. But definitely, if you ever, like I said, if you're ever buying them, just remember BAH at the checkout. You'll get 20% off and free shipping. So thank you to Manscaped for sponsoring us. We appreciate that. And then definitely continue to check us out. If you don't have notifications on already, please do so. Like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. But we appreciate you coming on. and I appreciate you joining me for this so I don't sound like a rambling idiot. I have people to talk to. So I'm glad you all have the same sentiments and, continue to join me. Like I said, I'm trying to do these more. I'm not always home or not always able to do them, but try to do these, try to do more of them. I like talking hockey, so anyone that likes talking hockey, you're welcome here. I love the groups that we have that come in. The regulars are all really great people. There's almost never any problems with anybody in here. It's a drama free. It's kind of like Cheers. Like sometimes you just want to go where everybody knows your name and talk hockey. So thank you all for continuing to support us. We appreciate that. And, like I said, this is, we're on the way up here. It's a start, nowhere near the end. It's a marathon and not a sprint, as Mark says. So we'll definitely be doing more content. We're trying to come up with new segments, and so this way we find ways to keep you all entertained, to keep you all thinking and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't dislike the Wild either. But I will say this: Statboy Steven had a funny quote about them, and he called them the side salad of the NHL. I mean, it's kind of accurate. I'm not going to lie. They're kind of just that team that like, oh, you know what? They're just there. Nobody really hates them, and their fans love them, but nobody really hates them. So, but, they're there. They're just kind of a middling team. They haven't really been really, really bad since the beginning. So they're kind of just in the middle. You would expect more, though, from Minnesota. I think they won tonight, though. They beat San Jose. So that's good. You don't want to be losing to San Jose like we did. Yikes. Nat, that's actually a really good question. I think at some point we're gonna have to. I just don't know when that's gonna be. That's gonna be like when we get into a studio. So I just don't know how that's going to work right now, but yeah, eventually I think it will happen. I just don't know when. So, but again, thank you all for joining. I hope you all have a good night. Looks like the next game is on Thursday. Wow, yeah. So some time off. Oh, the Wild lost? Oh, okay. They lost this game. Okay. Well, the highlights are on right now. I'm watching the highlights, and the score didn't curl across the bottom. So, but yeah, it looks like was that Steven Lorentz? Yeah, it's Steven Lorentz. So, oh yeah, they tied it. That's a bad goal. Was that Talbot net? Oof. Oh no, Talbot's in Ottawa. That's right. Who's that in net for them? That's not Fleury. That is definitely not Fleury. But yikes. So. But yeah, so definitely join us. Thursday's a 10 p.m. game. Ooh, I don't think I'm doing one after that. That's going to be tough. These next few games are going to be tough for me to do with this late. Saturday. Saturday. I'm probably not even going to catch the game. I have my cousin's engagement party that I just thought about. Oh, they lost in a shootout. So. But yeah, Saturday against San Jose, I have my cousin's engagement party. I was actually supposed to go to AEW Full Gear, but I had to back out of that. So yeah, I will be. I'm not sure when the next time I'm going to do this is, just because the schedule is a West Coast trip. So that's Seattle, San Jose, LA, Anaheim. Oh man, the next 4 games are all West Coast, and then the 26th I'm actually trying to go to that game. So you know what, watch alongs are tough, and I'll explain myself here. Watch alongs are tough in the sense that I'm looking up at a screen and I'm trying to watch the game and I'm trying to communicate with you all at the same time. So it's really tough for me to be looking at your comments, taking in your comments, and responding to the comments while watching the game and processing everything. I just don't think I'm getting the full analysis of the game that way. And I can't really maybe if we maybe like a watch party at that point, and where there's more than one person, but just me specifically, that I feel like it's just kind of tough. I don't know. I'll consider it, but I just don't think I'm giving you the best me at that point, you know? But it's something that Mark, myself, and Anthony are going to be talking about. So we'll see. But watch parties, yeah, we want to do more of those. We've tried to, and it seems like every time Mark tries to plan one, something comes up, and it just ends up getting squashed. What we had something going on for last year in November, and it was supposed to be for my birthday and the watch party, and then that got canceled. So that yeah, Mark yeah, I did one last year. And I just didn't think that I was giving you the best version of me at that point. It was really hard for me to focus on everything all at once. Um, I'll try again, and maybe I'll be better at it. Maybe it's going to take some time for me to get used to doing those. But I just felt like I really wasn't. And there's sometimes there's dead air because it's just, I don't know. I feel like I don't want to give dead air either. So yeah, one person comments, the other reads the chat. Yeah, it's I agree. That's really what it comes down to for me. Is just I think we need more than one person doing it at that point. So we'll see. It'll be in discussions. It'll be up in the air. But again, thank you all for watching. I appreciate you all. You all have a good night, and let's go Rangers.